does come across quite Disney. In a good way. When's she off on Drake Doremus? I've got my first.
I'm watching a 3D movie. Oh, not really. It's the film's called Like Crazy, starring Felicity Jones. And I'm recording this because that's our role. So that's it. Free film. That's our role.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome back the co-writer and director of tonight's film, Drake Doremus, and lead actress Felicity Jones for tonight's screening. I first saw this film in the Sundance Film Festival earlier this year, where it very quickly became the talk of the town. I think the film was hugely appreciated in Sundance, both by the critics and by the audiences, who were very drawn to what is a really sort of beautifully nuanced, bittersweet, quite often funny, and it seems to me very authentic story of the pains and the pleasures of a transatlantic long-distance relationship. The film went on to win the Grand Jury Prize in Sundance, and deservedly so, and we're very pleased to have it in our programme, and we're very pleased to have a couple of special guests here to present it. They'll introduce the film to you and they'll be back after the screening, so do stay around and talk to them about it, ask questions, tell them anything you'd like to about the film. So to get things started, would you please join me in welcoming to the stage the director of tonight's film, Like Crazy, Drake Doremus.
Thank you, Sandra, so much for that wonderful introduction. Thank you so much for having us at the festival. It's really exciting to be able to share it with you guys tonight. Shooting here in London, as we did, was a very special and magical experience for us. So it really does feel like we're bringing the film home in a way. So thank you so much for coming. I'd love to introduce two integral parts of our shooting in London to you tonight. Our UK line producer, Amy Fallows. Where are you, Amy? Please stand up. Please stand up. And our key PA here in London, Will Orpin, please stand up as well. Okay, or sit down. Yeah, they were, thank you. They were absolutely instrumental in us being able to get what we needed to get here in London. So we're excited to share them with you guys tonight. And we'll be back for a Q&A after, but first I'd love to introduce the lovely star of Like Crazy, Miss Felicity Jones. Yeah, so we're going to have some drinks and then we'll come back and do the Q&A. Sure. Thank you guys so much for coming and please enjoy the film. Thank you, Sandra.
Our pleasure. So we have time for your questions and comments about the film. I was going to just jump in and ask a couple of things first whilst you're thinking about what you might want to ask. Drake, I wanted to start with you. I think this is your fourth feature. It's like, although you look precociously young. But
yeah, we had a couple smaller ones that no one really saw, so this is kind of the first bigger film in a way.
I think some people might have seen Douchebag. But,
yeah.
but I really wanted to ask you why you wanted to tell this story now.
You know, the movie has a lot of personal relevance for me, and sort of some feelings that I was going through and wanted to explore what it feels like to go through a long-distance relationship. I spent a lot of time here in the city, so I really wanted to sort of capture my experience.
And was it your first time shooting here? Shooting outside the US?
Yeah, it was magnificent. We just made a movie in New York, and it was really difficult. And shooting here is by far the coolest and best experience I've ever had in my entire life. Bar none. The cops here are amazing. They're so helpful and nice. And it was amazing. We were shooting the shot when Anton and Felicity were walking down the street after they got married. We had a permit to be there, but we didn't have a permit to close down the street. So there were all these cars coming down constantly, and this cop was just sitting there, and he was like, "Are you guys having problems?" And we were like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, close off the street." So he closed it off, and he was so cool. I wish we'd gotten his name. I wish he was here tonight. Maybe, yeah, he was really cool. The shooting in the city was fabulous for us.
And how did you two sort of find each other? How did you come to the project?
Well,
On Facebook.
Yeah, on Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, it started with a phone call. I read the script and just loved it immediately, and I just loved the tone of it. It was immediately there on the page. And then Drake and I spoke on the phone, and we realised we had very similar ideas of the kind of films we like and the kind of films we wanted to make. And then Drake sort of said to me, "Okay, I need to see something of your work," and he said, "Will you make a tape?" So I spent my weekend making a tape in my flat in East London, just 3 improvised scenes. One when they first meet, and then another scene. What's the other?
Phone call scene.
Phone call
You break
scene.
down.
And then I tried to recreate the shower scene in my own shower.
You did it. I mean, it was amazing.
It wasn't close up.
Yeah, wait a
Let me
minute.
just say that.
Yeah. It was.
I had to do something.
The tripod was like set up, and it was in close up. It was very similar. It was eerie how similar the shot was to her close up in that scene, and it was magnificent. Without any dialogue, she just emoted what Anna's going through at the end of the movie in the tape. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh my God, you have to come to LA and be in my movie." It was just mesmerizing.
And it is such an incredibly natural performance, and the rapport that you have with the Jacob character too. How did
That guy,
you sort
Anton
of work on that? Yeah, I mean, can you talk a little about that, because you are so natural on screen together?
Well, the film is improvised, so we have there was a 50-page outline which has all the stage directions and it has the characters drawn out. But the idea is that the dialogue comes later, so that we find the dialogue through what's happening in the scene. So as long as we both have very clear objectives, then there's more freedom to let the scene happen. But I think the key was we had a rehearsed for a week, and in that week we just spent far too much time together, and just mapped out the characters and tried things out and did sort of exercises and just made sure that we were all as comfortable as possible with each other.
It was really a boundless week in a way. I mean, when they came, they met only 6 days before they started shooting together. So in that 6 days, they checked themselves at the door and they poured their hearts into it, and there were no boundaries, and it was okay. We're going to jump into Jacob and Anna. And what's her name? Anna? No, Jacob and Anna, and we're going to give ourselves these characters in this moment. And in that week, they broke up and got back together about 8 times, and were up and down and all over the place. So by the time we started shooting, they had gone through years of a relationship, essentially.
That's amazing to come to achieve that with only
2 years of relationship in 1 week? Yeah, you should try it. It's very fun.
I have lots of things that I want to ask, but I don't want to kind of hog all the questions, so I'm going to throw it out to you now. If you have something that you'd like to ask, if you pop your hand up so that we can see you, there are a couple of roving microphones just because the acoustics are not so great in this room and it means everyone else can hear. So does someone have a question that they'd like to ask or something they'd like to say about the film? Yeah, right here.
Full stop, great movie, absolutely